Minister Jaishankar, thank you very much. Day 2 of your trip to the CEE. It's been quite a ride since February for not just the region, not just Europe, not just the West, but it is now trickling in terms of effect of what's happening between Russia and Ukraine into the rest of the world, the East, the global South. Paint us a little bit of a picture of India and how India has been impacted. You've come out of COVID. You've had issues on the border with China. You've come out of the Quad with many, many diverse and divergent opinions, and an economy that is looking to make dramatic changes, but in very difficult and turbulent times. So if you can paint us a picture of where India is at right now, and then we will pick up the conversation from there.
Okay, let me go with exactly that flow. I think, yes, we are largely out of the COVID, though it never quite goes away. But we are out of the COVID also with a strong sense of economic recovery. I think there's a lot of optimism about rebuilding, and not just rebuilding, but actually leapfrogging in many areas, particularly digital. I think we handled it very prudently. I almost am tempted to say smartly, in terms of the financial responses, which was we didn't blow the bank in responding. We intervened where we had to, and very effectively. At the moment, in a sense, the Modi government has just completed 8 years in office. And what we have done in those 8 years is really to, I would say, build almost, I would say, a social welfare society at a speed and a scale which the world hasn't seen. And in some ways, the COVID has actually hastened that. I mean, we are, for example, as an example, we are giving food support to 800 million people. And we've been doing this for more than 2 years. So that's like the population of the US and EU put together. We have a publicly supported house ownership program, which covers about 115 million beneficiaries, which is almost like building houses for Japan. Or even if you look at terms of, this campaign, this program actually to replace firewood with gas cooking, it's impacted 80 million people. That's like changing Germany's kitchen in the space of a few years. So there's a lot going on there. And why I mention that is many of the global developments today have the potential of actually putting that under stress. Your second reference was to China. Yes, we are going through a particularly difficult patch in our relationship with China. We've had differences in the past, but we've never had a situation where, after 1962, where really agreements on not bringing forces to the border have been disregarded. A very large number of forces have been brought to the border. We've had a clash. People have died. And this has not happened now. It happened 2 years ago. So in a sense, it's a bit of a diversion, but it's also a useful reminder to Europe that there were other things happening in the rest of the world which sometimes Europe perhaps doesn't pay enough attention to. And there's also been Afghanistan, and what happened there, the circumstances in which the Western, particularly American military forces left finally. And now we have Ukraine, and coming into this region, it's a region which I know well. I have lived here in Budapest and in Prague. And it's a region which has been very helpful to us when we wanted to get 20,000 students out of Ukraine. Mm-hmm. Slovakia, Hungary, Poland, Romania, even Moldova. But I think it's also important for people in the region to realize how this is playing out in the rest of the world, that it is creating a huge fuel crisis. a food crisis, a fertilizer crisis,
Yeah.
pushing inflation in low-income societies which don't have the margins really to absorb that. And so it can very quickly become political in many societies.
I think that brings up an interesting question that's come in from an online audience member, which is relevant to this, this point that you make about the rest of the world versus right here, right now in Europe or in the West. How interested are the Indian people in the war in Ukraine? Is it a major concern? Is it a minor concern? And you've kind of alluded to the fact that it's affecting fuel, it's affecting food, but how interested is the populace itself?
I think it's a major concern. It's a major concern for two reasons. Look, today our existence is very connected. I mean, everybody sees things on the television, on their phones, on the net. So wherever you are, and because bear in mind today India is a very digital society. Even people at lower levels of income, the one thing they do have is the connectivity. So